Alright, we're back. Today, working on Darkspace Isabeau Durand from Relic Knights. So, this is going to be one of the last Relic Knights videos I do until the Kickstarter rewards start coming in for the second edition I backed. And this is also going to be one of the last Relic Knights videos where I use black primer. Starting off, 09047 Fair Skin. So all of the Darkspace models, aside from being limited edition, are characters from the game basically cosplaying as characters from other franchises. And in this case, Isabeau Durand, normally a Shattered Sword Paladin, is dressed up as Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop, and in the Star Nebula Corsairs. And just to live, getting tongue-tied. Just to give you a little warning ahead of time, I'm not following a literal Faye Valentine color scheme, but rather something kind of based off it. Get to that in a bit. And this is one reason I'm going to be switching to white primer for Relic Knights. I like the brighter colors that you can get with using a white undercoat. At least for Relic Knights anyway. I'll still be using black primer for most of my other stuff. And light colors like this would only need one coat as opposed to 2 or even 3. Using that multi-tool to weigh this down because it's blown over once before I started shooting already. And she is wearing stockings. We'll get to that sooner or later. Well, we'll get to the shading actually. I'll show you how. Kind of the point of these videos, show you how to do this stuff. And all that and getting more attention from my business at any rate. can see how blotchy the skin is. That's why I need to do more than one coat. But not so thick that details get covered up. Alright, let's got the skin. And pale green. Let's see, 09012. This one's about empty, but I got a spare on hand. And I generally like to stick to what's official for skin, eye, and hair colors, unless the official artwork is completely incohesive. In the case of Isabeau Durand, she has bright green hair, and we'll get to the coloration on the outfit in a bit and explain why I'm making the decisions I'm making. Too much water. Got a bit of that on the nose and cheek. Just toss it up real quick here while that skin tone's still wet. May have to close the window in a minute here. It's a nice day, but there's a pretty good windstorm coming up. It's decent coating. And we'll just have to let that dry a bit. The first two coats have had a chance to dry. Is it? The outfit 09004 Fire Red. So, the Cowboy Bebop character Faye Valentine had dark violet hair and a yellow outfit. Now on a color wheel, violet and yellow are opposites, i.e. complementary colors. So, since Isabeau Durand's hair is green, I will use the complementary for that, which is red. There's a bright, shiny red. May need to go to a smaller brush. Just feel it out first. Kind of an odd seam where her hair meets her top. And ironically, the wind out here had died down to almost nothing until I picked up my brush again. We'll call that a funny coincidence. Make sure to get the inside of the collar as well. It's a little tricky. During assembly, the arms were actually one separate piece. Normally you'd see two on a pose like that, but I was afraid for a minute that I was actually going to snap them off as I was assembling. Too much water right there. Blot that out so it doesn't mess up the rest of the paint. And she's wearing fingerless gloves. Go ahead and make those match. I'll make her shoes match in a minute here. It's kind of working from the top down on this one. It's another bright color. I'm going to have to do a second coat. Because of the dark primer I used. And that's what I get for having only one color on hand for so long. So, in other words, my fault. Cut that a bit thick. That's better. Go ahead and do the holster in red as well. Okay, let's see. It's pretty good, but there is a part of the right shoulder I need to touch up with the fair skin. Might have squeezed out earlier, has since dried. Still too much water in the brush. You want it damp, not wet. Just touch that up, that bit on the wrist, right here. It's got to be kind of a mess over in here. Let's see if I can do the... No, that's making it worse. So, blot out. Alright, that should be okay. I should be able to fix that when we do the washes. Doing a few touch-ups on the skin tone. That should do. Where is it? There we go. 09206 Tar Steel. Go ahead and get our hair ornaments and our gun. Very careful, very deliberate, and methodical. Too much water. Okay, well, that's base coat. There's a bit of the cheek on the left I need to touch up a bit I just saw. Just take care of that. Over neck. Looks like I slipped up a little more than I thought I did. I'll just go ahead and touch that up. As light as this is, it could result in some weird shading effects that we don't want on this. Including that right leg that got kind of messed up earlier. Okay. Back to the leg, back to the shoulder there. There's another. Alright, that should get everything fixed up. Forgot about one base coat, and that's the basing. 09161 Shield Brown. Again, this is custom sculpted, not a base insert. Did this myself, and as I promised a while ago, next time I get some Malifaux models that where it's appropriate, or get my Relic Knights Kickstarter, whichever comes first, I'll go ahead and do a video on how I sculpt this stuff. Probably on both, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So never have too much practice on something, especially if you enjoy it. I think this is a little more water than I would normally use. Definitely more water than I normally use. Ensure to get a nice, even coat. Okay. Okay, now that's base coats. Let that dry completely, move on to shading. Alright, moving on to shading. Go ahead and start with the gun and the hair ornaments with 09205 black and steel. Still getting used to this new camera angle I'm trying out to deal with an issue of blurriness that some of my older videos had. And then and we can do the red too, so 09203 blood red. One neat thing about Reaper Master Series is, in most cases, once you've got your base coat figured out, you can go one number lower to figure out your shader, and one number higher to figure your highlight, and this is getting a bit thin, so I'll have to add to the list of paints to restock for next month. Okay, so that went a little too far to depth. Blot some of that off. Okay, let's do the gloves last. Some spillover is inevitable. We'll fix it later. Put out that bit on the thigh as much as I can. It's gonna have to do. Use the boots. Carefully dabbing that on. Okay. A little more on the shorts, I think, because it's looking a little blotchy still. Same with the front here. And that bit on the back. Okay, that's a nice even coat. Alright, let those dry, and hit the next 2 shades. Maybe even the next 3. We'll see. Okay, where are my paints? I'll do one more base coat I changed my mind about. 09023 Imperial Purple. And not a whole lot of that. Just going to do top of the stocking with that. It's just a really thin line. While that dries, we can move on to some other colors. Leaf green, 09011. Go ahead and use that to shade the hair. This one's clogged up. It's also about empty, but again, I've got a backup for this one too. That should be enough. And this is exactly why we go top to bottom, or highest area to lowest on the shading. So when mistakes like that happen, it runs off into areas you don't want it, it's easier to fix as you go down, and a lot of the times, though not all the time, simply applying the next layer of shading will cover any mistakes like that up sufficiently. Not always, but most of the time, I'd say. Getting a nice, even layer of shading. bit of that on the butt there, just let that up, blot it out, get it cleaned up. Okay, now I can go ahead and finish the stock. We're going to do 09022 Nightshade Purple. Shake this up really good. It should be more than enough. We're going to get this a fair bit thinner than usual. So we want some of that flesh base coat showing through. You see that's close but not quite. It's a little better. So I'm going to make sure we get a nice even coat. This is a quick and easy way to do translucent clothing elements. Is just do your flesh tone first and then use the shade to show the clothing. That's about right. This leg's going to be a little trickier since she's got it up almost against her butt. Yeah, we can do it. Just gotta be meticulous and patient. Got all the time in the world. A coworker of mine suggested I cut my videos down time-wise, but this is not a hobby for impatient people, and someone with an attention span of only 20 seconds is really not the target audience anyway. Okay, that's out up the base of the boot a little bit. I'm just taking my brush with nothing in it, reabsorbing the paint. Too concerned about that because it will come out when I highlight. And we can go ahead and shade the base now with Woodstained Brown 09160. That is clogged up pretty thoroughly. Another one that's almost empty, but I've got a backup. A tiny bit more. That should be enough. Shading steps where you really want to get everything wet. Being really careful around the foot. And while a model like this is a nice dynamic pose, one problem is there is only the one point of contact. A plastic model like this, it's less of an issue because it has very minimal weight, but on a metal or resin, depending on the resin, to be fair though, I found most resins are pretty light. There's only a couple of heavy ones out there on the market. But a heavier material, this can be a liability with many metal models with such a flimsy contact point being very unstable, but with this plastic and the lighter resins, it's not actually a problem. And let that dry, shade the skin, and go from there. Alright, last layer of shading, 09046 Fair Shadow. That mixed up really well. Oh, that's more than enough. Go ahead and start on the face. Make sure to get the ear there. And making sure it goes up in between the bangs. And this is one part where it's going to get tricky because of the high collar. Need to be conscious of the camera. Just really carefully get our thumb right there. Get that thumb very carefully. Got a little bit of that on the gun. Let's blot that out. I tried using a regular towel for this. It just does not work as well as a paper towel. Get it along the back there, and some of this still wet. Okay, that is not wet enough. It's almost pure paint, so we'll just fix that up like so. And that gets it squared away fairly okay. Mistakes like that happen. Again, the important part is fixing them. And honestly, it's easier to get into a mindset of we'll fix mistakes rather than try to avoid mistakes. I'm going to blot out some of this in areas where it got where we don't want it. Hair there, on the back. Okay, I think that's got it. And that closer along with the suspender. Down the hip there. The legs. Tiny little dot of flesh right there between the holster and the stocking. And then some of these other colors will take out in the highlight with the detail brush and some very careful line work. This is a somewhat trickier model, in part because of the pose. Okay, I think that's got it where I need it. That got a little awkward. Overall worked. That needs to dry completely. And then move on to highlighting in detail, but there's one more thing I can still do. Taking 09039 pure white, go ahead and line the base. So I like to have the base of my Relic Knights models with a faction-appropriate metallic color. Where's the brush I'm looking for? There it is. Doing this very carefully, avoiding hitting the wood texture as much as possible. Won't be able to avoid it completely, not in most cases anyway, but any mistakes can easily be covered up by the highlighting. Okay, now we let that dry. Okay, time to finish up here. Gonna take 09039 pure white again. Just a tiny bit. Probably don't even need that much. Carefully, carefully, carefully fill in the eyes. And then 09048 fair highlights. That should be more than enough. It's not the right brush. There we go. There's a few areas we'll just need to carefully pick out. I've got some of the red on them. We're doing this with the other colors too on the borders. The red meets the flesh, and the green, and a few other pieces. Okay, that's got it about right. And go ahead and do the stockings. 09024 amethyst purple. You can see just by comparing the top to the bottom what a difference the base coat makes. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the hair next, I think. Yeah, so we're going to have to actually mix up our shader, or sorry, highlight. So we're going to need a palette knife, which has a flexible tip. You could use a disposable plastic knife or even your brush, but I really don't recommend either of those options. Probably the last call for this bottle. Okay, that should be enough of that. Now we're going to take pure white again, 09039, which I'm also going to have to replace soon. And going about half and half. Get a better view of this. Just stir it around. Mix it up just like that. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. And 09207 True Silver. That is probably way more than I need for this. And then 09005 Phoenix Red. Tiny bit more, but that's almost enough. It's another color that's going to need some touch-ups because of the shading. That's what this step's for. I'll end up hitting the thigh again. Now, this might be exactly enough. Just gonna touch up under the arm there, along the collar around here. Along the side here. And you can't really see the front of the shirt too well, the arms, but I can. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay. going to pull out a blue I forgot to pull out earlier. We'll use ultramarine highlight. Give her blue eyes. Just a tiny dot, that's more than enough. Make sure this one's in slightly better shape. Brushes don't last forever, no matter how much you might want them to. Just going to very, very carefully fill in her irises. Okay. Well, that has a chance to dry. Driftwood Brown, 09162. Ultramarine Highlight was 09189, by the way. This one. Gotta find the right brush for the job. There's a bit of the red that got on here. I want to make sure that's covered up because I don't want this to look like it's bloody. Okay, that's got it. And 09037 pure black. Very tiny amount. That is way more than I need. I'm taking that tiny pinprick again. Carefully, 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 carefully. Dot in pupils. Yeah, this is not easy by any means. And we're going to get the barrel of our gun. And one more color. That's going around the base. 09102 coppery orange. Relic Knights uses a customized deck of cards that are actually based around a color wheel, with each main faction being tied to one specific color. And for Star Nebula Corsairs, that's Chaos Orange. And I like to use a colored metallic that's appropriate just because. Once you realize how many things in the world are completely arbitrary and tied to personal taste, it's a lot easier to be cool about stuff. And the white over the black was just to make this stand out a little better and be a little brighter. As I said at the start, this is one of the last Relic Knights models that's going to have black primer. Got a full spray can of white ready to go for whenever the Kickstarter rewards for the second edition start coming in. And still drying on the base, but there we go. Darkspace Isabeau Durand.